It is an absolutely beautiful rainy spring day out here in East Tennessee. And you know, I think that you guys probably know what I'm saying when I say there's two different kinds of rain. There's the kind of rain that makes you run for cover and go, oh my gosh, I wish it would stop raining. And then there's the other kind of rain where you want to sit on the front porch with a cup of coffee and a comfy blanket and just enjoy the day. Well, this happens to be that kind of rain. It's soft, it's light, it's coming down okay, but it's gonna put some water in the ground, give my plants something to drink, and it's just wonderful. So, since it's doing that outside, we're gonna be working inside today. And later on, I'll end up on the porch. So what am I doing today? Today, I am processing fiber. Okay, so while it's raining outside and I've got some things that I need to get done here in the house, so I've got laundry I've got to get done, and in between loads of laundry, this is what I'm going to be doing. Now, this contraption may look a little scary, but it's really not. It's called a drum carder, and basically you lay loose fiber down here on this tray and you turn the crank, and when you do, these teeth, which are actually very scary, pull the fiber up into the roller and they connect to this drum right here, which also has some teeth. Now these teeth aren't nearly as painful to worry about, but these ones are pretty sharp actually. And they're sharp so that they can loosen up the fibers so that they go onto the drum more evenly. So as the fiber goes in here and I turn the crank, this scary wheel rolls it up to touch the drum, and then the drum picks it up and brings it along. So this wheel is turning, this wheel is turning this way, this wheel is turning this way. And there we go. Now, excuse me, I've already put the fiber in here, so unfortunately I didn't think about it beforehand. I don't often think about this sort of thing yet. I'm still in the process of, I really have nothing to show you guys, but then I say, well, I've got to do this or I've got to do that, and I go do it, and then midway through I'm like, oh man, that actually is something kind of interesting, or something that maybe somebody else is interested in looking at or watching. So I'm really sorry about that. All you missed is me putting loose fiber in here. And what I may do is, I may do another tutorial or a video or something later to show you the starting process. However, you will get to see how it works in here, because I always card my roving twice. And roving is just loose fiber that has already been processed at a mill. So all of the fibers are in line with each other and they're on this nice little rope almost. And you can just pull the fiber loose like this and lay it out. So I've already done that. I've already put it all onto my drum, and I'm going to go ahead and take it off. So basically I pull the brush back, and then I take this archaic device and pull the fiber off. And it's going to come out in what's called a bat. And if you think quilt batting, how it's that light and lofty layer of material, that's basically what this is. I'm going to turn it so you'll actually get a better view here. Okay, so here's the drum, here's the crank, and here's the bat. And so I've come along this little seam right here and just lifted and separated the bat so that I have a spot to pull it from. And now I just kind of roll it under a little to keep it together. And then as I do, I'm pulling, and you can see the drum turning. I'm pulling, pulling. And as I'm going along, I'm trying to make sure that I'm pulling up as much of the fiber as I can get, because sometimes little fibers stick in the little teeth, and they don't want to come out, but generally speaking, they like to. And we've reached the tail, and here we go. So, of course, it's black, and it's going to be difficult to see, I think, but there you go. That's what comes off of the drum. And this stuff is actually so soft and utterly amazing because it is baby alpaca and tussa silk, which is so soft. This last winter, I had worked some of this up and had spun it and had mixed it with some, what was it, merino and tussa silk, and I had made some fingerless gloves for my little girl for Christmas, and she absolutely loved them because they are so incredibly soft. I mean, like touch your face soft. Okay, so I've pulled the bat off the one time. Now I'm going to run it through one more time. And the reason I do this is just to make sure that all of the fibers are lined up properly. It makes it easier to spin when the fibers are all lined up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bat and I'm just going to separate it in half long ways. Set that one up there. And once I've separated it in half long ways, I'm going to just kind of loosen it up a little bit because the drum packs it in pretty good. And I want the carder to be able to pick it up really well without any trouble. So I'm going to pull the tray out. And I'm going to lay this down. Spread it out so that it rolls up evenly. And then turn the wheel. Now as we're going with this, I'm going to pull out just a little so that it doesn't all try to go in at once, because it will. It'll try to roll up in there in a hurry and then it'll bind up. So we just go a little bit at a time, nice and easy. There we go. There we go. Let that one roll in all the way. And then do it again. Okay, I've got the fiber all carded one last time, and I've pulled it off the drum so you can see the lovely bat. And then from here I'm going to divide it out so that I can spin it. So what I do is I just pull a strip of it off. So you see, I just kind of separate it like that. And then I kind of collect the fibers back together again. And then I pull off segments like this. Okay, y'all, so this is some of the fiber that I've already been spinning up. This is the blend of stuff that I was doing on the drum carder. It's the alpaca and silk blend. And let me see if I can get you in a little closer. You can see it's actually really, really nice. It's very silky and shiny looking, which is great. And it's super soft to boot. So, alright, let's see here. Okay. So, I have the little bit that I've already spun up right here, this tail. And this is what I'm going to use to connect. This is what I'm going to use to connect this with. Okay, so this is the stuff that I had just pulled off the carder. So basically I just lay my tail down over the top of the pile and then hang on to it, and then I'm going to draft like this. Oh my goodness, that is so hard to see with that background, isn't it? You don't see anything but a wire spinning. Okay, let's see if we can move our angle here. Bear with me just a minute, folks. Black is just a really crummy color to try to do this with, I reckon. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. Occasionally I draft a little more than I want to, and I just kind of untwist it a little bit right here and hold it so that I can pull very carefully some of these fibers loose, and then lightly let it go back into the twist, and then look at that, it's back at the size that I want it. So basically I'm controlling how thick or thin my yarn strand is by how much fiber I allow to go in at one time. I control that by using my pincher. Excuse me. So when I get too much, it'll clump up and it'll make a little bulb right there. And of course you don't want that. You want your fiber to be relatively uniform and the same all the way around, so that way when you're working with it, whether it be crochet or knit or whatever, your fiber is all the same. So your yarn is the same thickness, the same texture, so when you're working you don't have thick spots and thin spots, because obviously that's not going to work out for clothing or something like that. Alright, so let me roll this up a little bit. And start again. Extend that out. There we go. Now we're trucking. And then as we get towards the end, just slow down a little. And now we have the leader for the next little bit of fiber. So you see, the reason why I section out the bat like I do is so that it's easier to manage while I'm spinning. I don't have this big, huge pile of fiber in my lap. And on top of that, if you've ever been around animals that shed, you know, their hair gets everywhere. It's the same thing with this stuff. Loose fiber is just a bear and it gets all over you. It sticks to your clothes in the worst kind of way, and depending of course on the type of fabric you're wearing as to how much it sticks. So you know, you kind of be aware of that sort of thing, and a big pile of fiber in my lap would make me look like I have a hairy lap. So the little sections of the fiber like that make it a lot easier to manage. I can hang on to in my hand. It's easier to control how much fiber I'm bringing out of it as well, so that I have a more uniform yarn, which you can see here. So alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop this for now. I'm going to finish putting on this single, which is what this is called. I'm going to spin the rest of this bat up onto this bobbin, and then I'll come back and show you how I ply this and the other single together. Okay guys, I've got both of my sets of singles done, and I've got the spools on my Lazy Kate, and I've actually got two other sets of singles here that I thought might be easier to see, but it doesn't look like they are, so I don't know. I'll start working on these ones, and if you can see them good, great, and if you can't, I'll go ahead and do video of the black and the gray that I'm going to apply together. So I have switched out the bobbin. This is a larger bobbin. It holds more of the fiber than the smaller ones. The small ones are set to hold 4 ounces of fiber. And I find that that really depends on how tightly you spin onto the bobbin and how evenly you disperse the strands. But they're set for 4 ounces. And this larger bobbin is set for 8 ounces, so it's perfectly proportioned to do 2 full bobbins of singles to ply up as double. And you'll see as we go, it gets kind of difficult to fit it all in there because I don't like to spin super tight. I try not to overspin my yarn so that it's light and lofty and it feels nice and it's very soft on your skin. So as it gets full, you'll see that the bobbin, it really does get full. So sometimes it's a little bit of work to get it all filled up. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So basically when you spin the singles, you're spinning clockwise, okay? And that makes your twist clockwise. When you're spinning the 2-ply double, you spin it the opposite way. And so basically it's causing your plied up strands to twist together. That doesn't really necessarily make any sense when you see my fingers moving like that, but trust me, it makes sense. Okay, so basically what I do is I take the 2 single strands and I line them up with my leader, and I always have a little bit of loose fiber, just slightly loose on the ends of my singles, and that helps it to grab the leader better so that they don't slide off as I'm spinning to start out with. So I just keep them pinched and start the spinning. Let's see if I can get myself settled here. You start spinning counterclockwise, and then as it grabs, you just loosen your grip and let it twist. And you can see that it's twisting on. That's what you want. And we're going to go nice and slow to start with. Let it get a good grip, let it get on there. You can see that now I've just got my yarn and my leader is all the way on the bobbin. So now if you want to start spinning a little faster, you can, and you don't have to worry about it coming undone. You'll know when your yarn is balanced when you can bring this part almost on top of itself again, and it just hangs there. So you see, that's what you're looking for right there. Let me You see? That's what you're looking for. That shows that your yarn is balanced. And what that means is that it sits and it's not overstressed, it's not overworked, it's not overspun. And when you work it into a pattern, crochet or knit or whatever, it will hold its shape where it's supposed to go instead of trying to bind up. Don't get in a rush, don't get overworked. Just take your time and keep a steady pace, and don't pull. Don't pull and don't hold it, just let it glide through your fingers so that way you don't overspin. I'll slide my fingers back along the individual strands right quick and then guide the twist back into the orifice. This way, when I'm sliding my fingers out, there's not much twist in the singles at all, but as I guide it in, it puts the twist into the singles. You see that? I can put the yarn back up against itself and it's balanced. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this here, and then I'll come back when the yarn is finished so you can see. Okay guys, now that I've got all of this yarn plied up, and you can see that it's all plied together, I'm going to take it off of the spool and I'm going to put it into what's called a hank, which is basically just a way of wrapping the yarn so that it doesn't tangle up until you're ready to use it. So what I use is this is a handmade one out of PVC pipe. My wonderful husband made it for me. This is called a nitty knotty, and basically it's a 4-foot measuring tool for the yarn. So there is 1 foot of space between this bar and this bar, and so by wrapping it a particular way you get 4 strands for each repetition, and I'll show you how that works. And so basically you measure the number of repetitions on the nitty knotty, and then that tells you times 4 how many feet of yarn you have on the nitty knotty. And then if you take that number divided by 3, that gives you the number of yards that you have. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do that. Let's get this set up here. Alright, first things first, I'm going to turn my wheel so that it's facing beside me here, and I'm going to grab a hold of the yarn here and I'm going to hold it on to this one side, and then I bring it down, wrap it around this side, and then back up, and that makes the 4 feet of yarn. So there's 2 here and 2 on this side. Okay, and so that counts as 1 repetition. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so once you have all of your yarn that you're putting onto the nitty knotty at one time, you're going to secure it with some string. Usually, I will cut a segment off of the tail of the yarn and I will use that to tie up the spots, but this time I had a little bit shorter on this last section than I wanted, and so I just used some cotton string to tie it. But basically I tie it in 2 spots, sometimes 4, but usually just 2. So I'll tie on the side that has my beginning and ending tail, and then I'll tie on the opposite corner. So if I tied on this one, I'll tie on this one. If I'm tying 4, then of course you go ahead and do all 4. Now when you take it off, you just pull this off, and of course this is just for mine because it's PVC, but you take it off, and then if you have a balanced yarn, you'll know that it'll just hang, just like that. Once you've got your yarn off of the nitty knotty, basically you're going to lay it out. You're going to have it in each hand, and you're going to twist. And you're just going to twist several times until it goes back over on itself. Let's see if I can, there we go. And then just twist it another time or 2 to keep it snug. And then tuck one end into the other. And then that's it. There's your skein. Alright, y'all. Here is that black and gray. You watched me card the black bat for the yarn. And here is how it turned out. Let me see if I can get a really good view of this, because y'all, I'm telling you, this stuff is probably my favorite yarn ever. Do you see that shine? That is not metallic sparkle. That is literally the shine, the luster in the fiber. So what you're seeing is silk and alpaca. And I mean to tell y'all, look, if you can see how this yarn is draping on my hand, that's how soft it is. This stuff is utterly amazing. I am in love with it. This is probably my favorite yarn to date. And as you see, I've got one skein of it hanging up there. I've got another one here. I'll probably put these, at least one of them, on my Etsy page. I'll probably keep the other one. So if you're interested in handspun yarn, go check out our Etsy page, and you should see some there for sale. Have a wonderful night, y'all.